You ever wonder how we got the world's greatest supervillain? Besides being born with an extraordinary genetic mutation that grants him the ability to alter his own physical form at will? Well, it's because he was pushed. It all started when he was just a little boy, growing up in the rough and tumble streets of Gotham City. No, not those streets. These streets. See, young Master J was always a bit of a class clown. He loved to make people laugh with his silly jokes and funny faces. But the other kids didn't really appreciate his sense of humor, thought he was just being a class clown. And so, they would often get mad at him, and sometimes even resort to physical violence. Poor little guy just wanted to be accepted by his peers, but he just couldn't fit in. Felt like an outcast, a nobody, an absolute zero. One day, young Master J decided he'd had enough of being treated like a second-class citizen. He wanted to show those bullies that he was more than just a silly clown. He wanted them to see him as someone to be feared, someone who could make their lives a living hell. So he did the only thing he could think of, created a plan to humiliate them, a plan so demented and depraved that it would change his life forever. He began by stealing some old, cheap clown clothes from a theater and fashioned himself a costume. Then he went out into the streets of Gotham, where he found the perfect place to enact his plan, an abandoned amusement park. He snuck into the funhouse mirror room and spent hours arranging the mirrors in such a way that they would reflect his image back at him over and over again. It was here that he created his persona, a maniacal, grotesque figure that he hoped would strike fear into the hearts of his tormentors. But what would he call himself? He needed a name that would strike fear, a name that would make people tremble in their boots. Then he remembered something. Back when he was just a little kid, the other kids used to call him a dirty joke, a play on his name, Master J. It was a name that had hurt him deeply, but now he would use it to strike fear. He would become the Joker. And then one day, as he was sitting in his hideout in the funhouse, he heard some screams. The Joker had finally found his calling. As he watched, a group of kids ran past his lair, their faces pale with terror. They were the same kids that had tormented him for so long, and now they were finally experiencing the fear that he had felt for so many years. The Joker had finally become the villain he was always meant to be. But there's more to the story, much more. You see, after the events at the amusement park, the Joker became a force to be reckoned with in the criminal underworld of Gotham City. He was known for his unpredictable behavior and his elaborate schemes that often left his victims dead. His crimes were so heinous that Batman was brought out of retirement to stop him. And so began the legendary battle between good and evil that has captivated audiences for generations. But the Joker's story doesn't end there. In fact, it gets even weirder. You see, the Joker is actually based on a real person, or at least he's rumored to be. Some believe that the Joker is based on the son of a famous 19th century actor named Joseph Grimaldi. Joseph was a popular performer during the Victorian era, known for his comedic talents and his ability to make people laugh. But his son, Master Joe, was born with a dark cloud hanging over him. You see, when he was just a baby, his father died, leaving young Master Joe to grow up without a father figure in his life. This caused him to develop a deep resentment towards his father's profession, which he saw as having brought about his father's untimely death. To cope with this pain, Master Joe began performing as a clown, donning his father's old makeup kit and mimicking his movements. But as he grew older, his performances became more and more deranged, eventually leading to him being committed to an insane asylum. Some say that it was here that he met his end, while others claim that he was released and went on to become a criminal mastermind known as the Joker. Of course, this is just a rumor, but it adds an interesting layer to the already complex character of the Joker. If he is indeed based on a real person, then it raises the question of whether or not there are other DC villains that are also based on real people. After all, there are plenty of famous criminals from history who could serve as inspiration for DC's rogues gallery. Imagine if Two-Face was based on a notorious gangster, or if Catwoman was inspired by a real-life jewel thief. The possibilities are really endless. But until we find out more, we can only speculate. What do you think? Are any of DC's villains based on real people? Let me know in the comments below.